Well, hello everybody. We're back again for another Vodcast or podcast, whatever you want to call it. Today, in the Doctor's Lounge, it's me, Sajad Ahmed, and I've got Imad Alauddin.
Hi again.
And today we're going to be talking about masks. It's more like a rant. So patients have been ringing in and asking, can they get an exemption letter to not wear a mask because of COVID-19? And we thought, what a good idea. Let's have a bit of discussion about masks and what masks are. So yeah, Imad's going to talk about it, and we'll have a little bit of discussion.
Yeah.
So over to you, Imad.
Yeah, so before we start whinging about people ringing up for COVID exemptions, let's go into a little bit of background about masks. As you know, in the UK, across England, Scotland and Wales, not Northern Ireland, but those three, mask wearing is compulsory from Monday. I think England's a bit longer, but Wales certainly have introduced and followed suit now from Monday. So you have to wear a mask in an outdoor or indoor space.
And the emphasis here is you have to wear a mask.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have to. And there are fines if people aren't wearing masks and all sorts. So for those of us who've been living in England, this is quite common. For those of us in Wales who are now coming up against it head on, we're like, oh, well, this may be a problem for me if I have some issue, which we'll come on to a bit later. So we thought we'd give you a little bit about a background on masks, about the type of mask, and maybe a bit more of why it's useful to wear a mask, and then go on to a bit more discussion about the topic itself.
I mean, you mentioned about the usefulness of a mask. So we'll come to why, people are asking about exemptions and why they shouldn't be wearing a mask and can they get a letter and all that. But there's a very good diagram or a picture I saw on one of the social media sites, which showed a person in a pair of, trousers, and one without a trousers, and one is weeing without a trouser, and the spilling all across, and then he's wearing trousers and saying he's weeing now, so the trousers, the wee is not touching the person over there. That's a very simple explanation. If you wear a mask, you're actually protecting somebody else. You're not being, selfish, self-centered.
Yeah.
But yeah, leave it to you. I'll stop my rant.
No, just chip in. It is meant to be a lounge discussion, even though we're not yet at the lounge phase. Yes. The idea is maybe recreate a lounge. Yeah, but the idea behind masks is they do protect. Now, there's two issues of protection of the person wearing the mask from people outside, and also protection from, people being protected from you if you have symptoms and if you're wearing a mask. And this has been a bit of contention and a lot of debate, and obviously across in the US it's very politicized now as well, of people wearing masks and not wearing masks and the whole arguments about it. So basically speaking, there's been a few studies and there's a bit of debate in the medical world already about how effective some masks are. So for example, if you see the doctors wearing them in surgery or other procedures, they'll wear these surgical masks. And some people say, yes, they are useful. Some people say, no, they're not useful in protecting you against airborne bacteria or particles. So that's the debate. There are certain masks that do protect you against everything, which we'll come into a bit later. But the general ones you see, the surgical masks that you can buy, the blue ones, there's a bit of debate about how useful they are. So that's one aspect. Now, the more important thing, especially as far as COVID is concerned, is how the mask can protect other people from you if you have COVID symptoms or you have COVID and you are asymptomatic. And sometimes, there have been theories that you can still spread the disease even if you have no symptoms. So essentially, I'm going to give you an example. I've got a mask here. So this is a simple surgical mask. So if I was sitting with Dr. Sajad in the lounge, say, and I had COVID symptoms, and if I'm speaking, then I'd be producing COVID particles, and if he doesn't have anything, he's going to be susceptible to them.
Yeah.
If I cough, it's going to come out further. It's going to be more distance it's going to project, and if I sneeze, it's going to come out even further still. Okay. Now, if I put a mask on, even though it may not protect myself, the idea is it's producing a barrier against the particles getting out to Dr. Sajad. So essentially, it's protecting him. So if I cough and sneeze, the mask is essentially going to keep the particles very close to my face. So unless he's very close to me, he's not going to be susceptible to those particles. And that's the idea behind everyone wearing masks.
I
So
mean,
it's not.
you're completely right. I mean, it said it might not be protecting us, but then there is the recent hypothesis from New England Journal of Medicine
Yeah.
about how you wearing a mask actually might be protecting you, because you're getting, even if you get particles through to you, they're not in the same effective amount as in a high viral load. So the immune response that you're generating might be even asymptomatic. You're not getting any symptoms from that. And so you might actually be building up immunity to the virus. I think they used a couple of, was it guinea pigs or mice or something?
Hamsters.
Hamsters, yeah. I mean, poor hamsters. They had to give COVID to hamsters, and some of them did develop immunity. So there is this theory now, and it's hypothesis at the moment, and it might be proven, might not be proven. We don't know. But if a surgeon is wearing a mask, it's for his own protection. I mean, fine, he will be coughing and everything, and the patient's gut is open. Or let's take a urologist putting in a catheter, and if he's wearing a mask and suddenly the fluids spill, the surgical mask is a little bit waterproof, so stuff might not get into the mouth.
Yeah.
Might not get, and so a lot of these things are there for our own protection and for the protection of the next person as well. So I think there is this importance to it, and I think we should be realistic. I mean, let's talk about the types of the mask.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then we'll probably go to the exemptions people ask for.
Yeah. So the different types of masks which people may have seen, I'm going to go through. I've got some of them with me. I don't have all of them, but I've got a good collection. So first of all, you've got this cloth mask. Now, the recommendation from the government is to have a triple cloth, so 3 different cloths. So they look something like this, and you have it all on their face like that. And you have a lot of designer ones, like Louis Vuitton branded ones, or other things like Batman ones or special face. Yeah. So they become a bit of a fashion statement as well as a protection against COVID. You walk into Cardiff City Centre, you have stalls with masks, like with the clown faces and scary teeth and vampires and everything. It's become a big business now for people selling these masks. I'm sure the car companies will have got involved as well. So that's the basic level of mask you can get. Like I said, it's not going to provide a huge amount of protection from stuff getting into you, but it will protect you, others from you if you do have any symptoms. Next level up, you've got, which talked before, is a surgical face covering. Now, these are normally fluid resistant, so they can repel some droplets. Again, some argument whether they're useful or not, but they certainly will protect others against you. Now, in the medical field, we're going to have something a little bit more to protect ourselves, because if we are dealing with patients with potential COVID or confirmed COVID, we're going to need something. So you get these masks called N95 masks, or in the European standards, FFP2, FFP3, or in the Chinese standards, it's K95. So I've got one of these, which I have for work. So you can see it's got a little filter there. Now, apparently these ones aren't so good at protecting others because they've got an exhale filter. You can get ones without the exhale filter, which are good for your protection and others' protection as well. And then finally, you've got the granddaddy, which is the full face respirator, the P1 or P2. This is a P2, so it's a bit, no, actually, it's a P3. So this filters out, I think, 99% of all particles in the air. And these are mainly used by ITU consultants. I have this because we did a drive to supply PPE to ITU, which is why I managed to get my hands on one of those as well. But I would only use those if I have a confirmed patient with COVID or someone with highly suspected COVID symptoms.
Which brings us to another point. GPs should open face-to-face appointments or face, the wrath of the health ministers. I mean, who said we were closed?
I think there's a whole other topic. We've never been closed. We've always been open.
This is a proper rant, because in 1 week, you're getting patients who say they don't want to wear a mask, and you've got, the government saying GPs are shut. We'll do a podcast on that separately, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, I think we did a podcast before, but
You
us
did.
not really being shut. We are still
Yeah.
open, by the way. I have been seeing patients and obviously sitting in my room calling everyone like a call center, although we do a lot more calls than before. So yeah, GPs have to see patients more now. The ones maybe if they haven't been seeing them more have to see more, and face masks then become a big part of things.
Mm.
So, well, that's a bit brief about face masks and why we should wear them and the general science behind it. And now we come on to a very hot topic about people wanting to wear masks or not wanting to wear masks. As we discussed before, in America is a huge political debate.
Well, I
It's taking
think
on a
the
whole different life form.
I mean, the American debate is based on the Middle America Bible thumping crowd, where Trump supporters and they're sort of saying this is freedom and this is God's given you the face and why block it, and this is blocking the air going into your lungs. I mean, that's no such thing. In the UK, you see a lot of people saying, I've got asthma, so I'm allowed not to wear a mask. No, you're
Yeah,
not. You are supposed to wear a mask because
yeah.
the asthma UK uses the word, you are exempt to wear a mask if it is impossible for you to wear a mask. So I think the exemption from the government is very sensible. I think it says where if you've got disability or if you are in a danger of something where you have to alert somebody by letting them know that you are at risk or something, so taking your mask off, they're sort of potentially talking about life-threatening situations where you are in a state where you need to actually protect yourself or protect harm to others, then you're allowed to take the mask off. But in general, you're trying to protect another person, you know? You're trying to
Yeah.
protect somebody else or yourself or other people. So I think wearing mask is extremely important. If you can't wear it for whatever reason, I mean, that reason has to be valid. You have to discuss that with your doctor.
Well, you say that, but if you go onto the government website, you can just print one off.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just print off an exemption
You can
certificate.
print
So
off an exemption.
you don't have to discuss it with your GP at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And I think a lot of GPs are not getting into this topic because it is so controversial and it's something that we don't have time to deal with. Everyone ringing up about exemptions for masks, and they said, listen, just go to the government website and you can
Yeah.
read their advice and see where you fall into the criteria. And I think it does speak a lot about people's social responsibility. I had a gentleman who called me yesterday saying, I can't wear a mask. I'm a big guy. So what do you mean you're a big guy? I said, I'm a big guy, and big people can't breathe very easily. It's like, I don't think that's necessarily true. You can breathe fine. I said, oh, it gives me anxiety and panic attacks. I said, well, looking for your record, you've never been to see us for anxiety any time in your life. Maybe it is more claustrophobic wearing a mask. Yeah, I accept that. I accept that. We have to wear masks for long periods of time. And yeah, that's appreciative. But you're doing it for the greater good. You're doing it to help society.
No,
And to,
I've been thinking
the
about.
problem we had with him, said Dr. Stills, he said to me, and this is his exact words, I don't care about everybody else's health. I care about my own health.
Well, there you go.
And this is what really annoyed me. It's like, well, and he said to me, oh, you as a doctor should be looking at the individual's health, not community's health. So that's completely false.
Yeah.
I look after you and everyone else's patient as
And
well.
then they say you've got a duty of care towards me.
Yeah.
Sometimes they say that's what they say. But I was just thinking about the mask and the face covering. You remember in France they banned the burqa. And
Yeah, they did.
They banned the burqa. I just wonder. So if somebody's covering, the burqa is banned, but if you got a mask on, still the same thing. So is it suddenly allowed now, or what happens to those fines? Interested to know.
I don't know what the situation is.
So if you know what is happening with the burqa ban and the mask, comment below, yeah?
Yeah, let us know what's happening.
Let us know.
Or to be honest, you can probably wear the mask on top of your burqa and they can't say
exactly. And you can just say, well, this is not a burqa, this is a mask.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been completely sidetracked by that comment now.
Yeah.
But there was I remember there's some people
who was the MP who said to the woman, can you remove your mask, your burqa, because I can't hear you. You can't see who you are. Who was clearly being racist and Islamophobic, really. Was it? I don't want to misname it, but if it comes to me, it's in the comments or on the screen right now. So he basically said to this woman in his surgery, can you take off your mask or your burqa, because I can't understand you. So I wonder if he can understand people now when they're wearing a mask and speaking to him. So yeah, if you know the answer to that, comment below.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well, because now everyone who comes into the surgery has to wear a mask. It's a surgery policy. If you're walking inside the surgery building, you have to wear a mask. There's been a policy before it was introduced from a government point of view. But yeah, I think that a lot of people will be changing their mindsets on masks. The other thing is, I think a lot of people who are asking for exemptions from the masks are the people who are at the most risk if they do catch COVID.
Yeah.
So your asthma sufferers, your COPD sufferers, your people who suffer with other breathing disabilities. I think there are a few of them who are genuine, and it is difficult for them to wear. But I think these are the ones actually who will actually not be going out anyway. They're going to be staying at home, self-isolating, not trying to go outside. And there are the other cohort of people who are trying to get out from wearing a mask because they don't want to wear a mask. And this is where the difficulty comes as a clinician when you get called up saying, "Oh, I need an exemption for this because of my asthma," or I think mental health will be the other big one as well.
Yeah.
There'll be genuine people who will suffer with anxiety and things with their face being covered, and they're the ones who are trying to get out of it. I think the other one that they mentioned, especially in the Welsh government guidance, I can't remember if it's in the English government guidance as well, is people who have been sort of domestically or sexually abused, and the mask becomes almost like a PTSD.
If you're at harm or you're feared about causing harm to somebody else, etc., so you're exempt. That was a very good discussion. I think we're going to end it here. Short,
very brief, very rant. Yeah,
very brief, good rant. And if you like the rant, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. We need more viewers and ideas as well. Give us ideas. What do you want us to talk about? So yeah.
Before we leave it, a top tip, everyone, for all the GPs out there: if you want to avoid the whole conversation with the patients, there is the UK government website where they can find out about mask and exemption, and if they want to, they can print it all off.
And the link
save you a lot of time.
Oh no, maybe here. Yeah.
So it'll be somewhere on here popping up after we do the editing. But yeah, that was. Thank you all for listening, and yeah, that's obviously what I said. So subscribe, share, comment, tell us what you want to hear us talk about. Sorry, or if you want to get involved, get in touch as well. We'll be happy to have you on. Yeah. But until next time.